Hello and welcome to Marvel Vision, a Marvel Studios TV show podcast brought to you by Cinema Sangha. My name is Devin Faraci. I'm one of the hosts of the program. Joining me, as he traditionally does,
My name is Derek Faraci, and the plot, unlike your hair, continues to thicken. How are you, Devin?
I am okay. I went out Friday night and I came home and I had an eviction notice on my door.
Oh no, what?
3 days notice to be evicted.
What happened?
So it's okay. I'm going to spoil the end of the story. It's totally okay. What happened is that I've been living in this building for about 7 years now. And this building is like family owned. And there's a manager who lives on site, and it's been like pretty like chill, most of the time. And one of the ways that it's pretty chill is that the manager kind of like doesn't deposit the rent checks until like the middle of the month.
Okay.
And so everybody in the building kind of just got used to not having their rent check in the rent box on the first. And so now they're trying to beat us back into shape where we will actually put our rent checks, even if they don't get deposited until the middle of the month. Because it's one of the things, my first year here, I was like paying my rent on the first and then like it would get deposited on the 16th. And I was like, well, I guess I'm in no hurry to put this in the box then, right? Like I just do whatever I feel like it. But they're trying to change that around. But boy, nothing like getting home at 1 a.m. and there's an envelope taped to your door and you open it up and it says notice of eviction, 3-day notice of eviction.
That is terrifying.
It was not great, man. It was not great. I did not have an easy time falling asleep. Even though I knew what the deal was, I did not have an easy time falling asleep. So
yeah, I also didn't think it was possible in California to evict somebody in 3 days. Like I thought you had to give them warnings and notices and all that kind of stuff.
So the deal is that the way that it works, my understanding is that they can begin eviction process, but I'm not convinced necessarily that I would be out in the street in 3 days. Although I've seen some pretty disturbing stories about the LA sheriffs just truly just like fucking people over quite quickly. The thing is that it's in the lease that you have to pay within that if you pay later than the 5th of the month that you be evicted. So, I'm like dropping my check in there like the 7th and shit like that. So now I'm back to the 1st of the month though. I'm going to have to be a good boy now.
So this note was on your door yesterday?
Friday?
That was the 4th.
I know it wasn't. I don't think it was technically legal. I think that if I had decided to be a pain in the ass, I think I could have been a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But the next day, the manager was in the building and I was like, hey, wait here 1 second. I'm going to go get you a check. Like it was, that was as easy as that. I just keep forgetting. I'm not good at scheduled activities. And so I just keep forgetting to put
all right, you gave him a check, and did he say, okay, you're not going to be evicted on Monday?
She did. She was like, yeah, you're fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
She was like, there's, just people have gotten a little bit sloppy. And apparently there's somebody in the building who is particularly bad.
Okay.
Like not in the way that the rest of us are, but like doesn't pay for a long, long time. And so she was like, you know what, if we're going to deal with that person, we have to establish a level of fairness so that way that person can't argue that everybody else is paying their rent on the 9th or whatever.
Yeah. Also, the economy is collapsing. We want your money now before the bank shut down.
That too. Boy, the studio apartment next to me, by the way, is currently open. And it's going for $950 a month with utilities included.
Wow. That is cheap.
I was over at my friend's house on Friday night, and she has a studio in K-Town, and she was bragging about that she pays $2,300 a month for her studio in K-Town.
Oh my God.
But that's a good price, though. That's the thing.
It's not.
I'm going to tell you something. So her apartment building has a pool roof deck. Okay. It has a karaoke room.
Yeah.
It has a movie theater you can rent for free.
Okay.
It has a 24-hour gym.
Okay.
I mean, that's pretty good.
I guess, but you're paying $2,300 a month for a room.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's LA, man. Like that's one of the reasons why I am afraid of this building getting sold is because I cannot afford to live anywhere else in the city. There's just nowhere I can afford to live here.
Yeah.
So, the rent that I'm paying here is very low. I got a really good deal. And again, it's family owned. I've been here 7 years. They've raised the rent twice in that time.
Yeah.
That's very good. I feel very, and also all of my utilities are kept.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing. The utilities thing I miss that. My last apartment was utilities included.
Yeah.
And as somebody who works from home, it was like, great, thanks.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
you know,
nice. You know, and that means that in the summer I can really put that AC on
yes,
and not have to sit around and be concerned
yeah,
about
yeah.
what that's going to look like.
I was never cold nor hot in my last apartment, but now I pay for those things. I'm like, get a sweater. What are you doing? You know, before it was like, turn it up.
The problem is that I do so poorly in the heat that I really need the AC. Otherwise, I just melt and just like melt on the couch.
Yeah.
And I need the AC keeps me functional. That's the thing.
Yes. Yeah. No, I've tried to explain this to a couple of people when they're like, well, you know, during the day, you know, just keep the heat at like, you know, when it's cold out, keep it at like 62 and you'll be fine. I'm like, no, I'm working and I can't work like that. Like I just can't. I can't do it. And in the summer, you know, if it's too hot, I can't work.
Yeah,
I just can't
you
do
just
it.
can't do anything. Yeah, it's just too
Yeah.
much. You know what's funny is that when I moved into this
I'm a
apartment,
baby man and I need things to be the way I need them to be.
when I moved into this apartment, the wall heater didn't work. This is the kind of thing that happens when you live in an apartment that costs this little. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the wall heater didn't work, and I just let it go for a while. I eventually had them come fix it when Brittany moved in because I couldn't have her be cold.
Yeah.
But for the first couple of years I lived here, I would sit with a portable heater pointed at my fingers while I was typing on the keyboard because it would get so fucking cold. Because this is an old building and it's built to capture the cold of the night.
Yeah.
And so you would wake up in the morning and it might be like a nice 60 degrees outside. Inside my place, it was 42.
Yeah.
And, you know, during the summer, that's really amazing because, like, during the middle of the day, it stays coolish. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
and it was built before air conditioning and stuff. So, but yeah, I was fucking had a portable heater pointed at my fingers because I could not type with gloves on. So,
Yeah. No, I can't. I like, I can't be all bundled up. Like, you know, I just can't do that kind of thing. I need it to be like between like 68 and 72. Otherwise, I'm useless. I can't do
right,
anything,
right.
you know.
Yeah, I get it. We're weak. We're weak men.
We are. We are. I see all these people online being like, it's time for, you know, the problem is that men just want to create things. They want to build. They don't like their email jobs. I'm like, I like my email job. I love it. I love it. Are
Yeah, I
you
don't work
kidding
in a
me?
fucking factory. You kidding
No.
me? No, no way, man.
I've
Get
done
out of here.
very little actual labor jobs in my life of like, you know, I worked at a Target for a time, pulling things off the truck, you know, it's horrible. I
Yeah.
don't want to do that. It's horrible.
I used to do that when I was in my early 20s. I worked at a place called Ames, which is like a department store that I think doesn't exist anymore. It was Northeastern, and I was on the truck duty for that place, and that meant that I had to be at work at 4 o'clock in the morning and
Yeah.
pull things off the truck. It was such a it
The
was
worst.
a nightmare. It was a
Yeah.
nightmare.
Especially
And
like you said, that was on the East. And I was working Target on the East. And you're waking up at like 2 a.m. to get to
it's
work.
fucking so
And
cold.
it's cold. If it's snowing, if it's raining, whatever it is, you're like, this is the
Yeah,
worst.
I had to walk to work because I didn't have a car, so it was real bad. It was real
Yeah.
bad. Did not like
Yeah.
it. Also, because I'm not a manual labor guy, I just didn't quite gel with the other dudes that worked there. Like, it
Yeah.
just wasn't my. You know, they just didn't like me, and you know, it was just not a good combo. So I
Yeah.
didn't even have that feeling of like, oh, I love the dudes over at work. Like, it was like, oh, these guys, they don't like me one bit at all.
I made some good friends at Target. We got along pretty well, some of us.
All right. Anything else going on
I
in your
was the
life?
old man of the group,
Good
but
for
like,
you.
you know, they were like, "Oh, this guy knows a lot about pop culture." I'm like, as long as it's before 1993, I guess. Yeah, you know. After that, it's just MST and news radio, and that's it.
Uh,
So,
Anything going on in your life? How was your weekend?
my weekend was pretty fantastic, actually.
No kidding.
Yeah, I took a nice long walk yesterday. That was very nice.
Yeah.
I went to the movies. I went to the mall. The mall was kind of sad. It was very empty. It was dark, and it was essentially empty, and people were just walking around looking confused. Most of the stores were not most, but a lot of the stores were just shuttered. And
Oof.
so, you know, people were just like, "Whoa." Like the biggest grouping of people was at Auntie Anne's for pretzels, you know. But I went there because like there's a store in there that sells like old action figures and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Old nerd shit. And I went in there and I looked around, and there's nothing that really grabbed me. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Ooh, I need that." So, but it was a nice day. It was a nice walk. And then today, there's a new brunch place that opened up down the street. I went there for breakfast this morning, and I got what is essentially like a Denny's Grand Slam, but cost like 4 times as much because
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
that kind of deal. But it was delicious. It was a very
yeah.
nice breakfast. So it was nice.
I watched an episode of Sex in the City this weekend where they had to explain what brunch is at the beginning of the episode.
Really?
Because once upon a time, brunch was not a thing like 20, 30 years ago. Like it existed, but it was not a thing that like, if you didn't live in the cities, you never had brunch. It just was not a meal that existed outside the cities.
Okay.
So like the episode opens with Carrie explaining why brunch is so great and what brunch is. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is so crazy to watch this. Very fucking wild. Very fucking wild. But that's very nice. The movie you went to go see was Minecraft. I haven't seen it yet. It has saved the cinematic experience. It has saved the theaters.
This is the second time in like 4 years that Warner Brothers has saved the cinematic experience with one movie, right? Between this and Barbie.
Yeah, I mean, what's really
Warner
amazing
Brothers is consistently on the verge of just collapsing on itself. Yeah.
So a friend of mine noted, this is not my thought, but he noted that Zaslav has been getting the current heads of Warner Brothers ready to fire them. Like he's been like doing like a little campaign about like, they're not doing that great, whatever.
Yeah.
And then this movie opens and it's their movie, and it's fucking. Movie. It is. It was. Nope. It was under the regime.
Nope. I looked it up today.
What?
Jared Hess and Jason Momoa signed on to this movie in April of 2022. Pam Abdi and what's the guy's name? DeLuca.
Yeah.
They joined Warner Brothers 2 months later.
Yeah, but the whole development and everything happened under them. The movie was made under their watch. Yes, that's exactly how it works.
I mean, like
it's their movie. It's their movie. Yeah. Like if they were not like on the chopping block, they would be taking a fucking victory lap. Yeah. But it's just funny that these people put out a movie that is doing really, really well, and they're going to probably get fucking killed.
But it's also a movie that is not what they said they were coming to Warner Brothers to do. Because it's an IP movie, and they're like, oh, we want to do new and original things. It's not that. So it if anything, this might tell Zaslav like, okay, you guys wanted to do Mickey 17. We wanted to do Minecraft. One of these is going to make $1 billion. The other one's going to lose us $100 million.
Well,
guess who wins that argument?
The important thing is that it's making a lot of money, and it is doing really well for theaters. And I'm really glad to see that, because it's been a very slow year so far. And apparently, exhibitors have seen Thunderbolts, and they quite like Thunderbolts, and they're bullish on Thunderbolts. So that might also be the next movie that actually makes some money.
Well, Sinners comes out before, and that apparently is I heard it's tracking very well. I heard it.
I'm sure it's going to do well. It's not going to make.
Oh no, it's not going to be 700 million, but it costs 90. If it makes like 300, 400, everybody's happy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it'll make 300, 400, but yeah.
You don't think so worldwide?
No, I don't think so.
No,
no, it's an original. It's original story. It is. There's going to be, I think, probably some countries where it can't play. They may not show it in China because of the vampire content. And stuff like that. So I'm kind of curious. I mean, I think it's going to be great. Don't get me wrong. I just
whether or not it does well does not mean it's a good movie or not. We all know that.
This looks like the kind of movie that everybody goes, "My God, this movie is so good." Nobody wants to go see it. That's what it feels like to me.
Yes. So yes. It is 100% one of those movies. If it doesn't do well, it's one of those movies where once again the entire internet complains that there are no original movies, and then every time an original movie comes out,
they don't support it. Yeah,
nobody's there for the weekend. Yeah, I mean, Mickey 17 is an extremely. I mean, I know it's based on a book, but it's a very original movie.
I mean, The Godfather's based on a book too. Like, we don't,
But I'm saying like Sinners. As far as I know, Sinners is not based on.
No, I think it's an original screenplay altogether. Yeah,
but people don't go see these things. So.
No, they don't go see these things. I mean, I'm curious. We'll see. I think it's R-rated too, which is not going to help it at all. So that's another piece.
Heard Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, but that's different. That's different. Yeah. Like that's just so different that people take their kids to Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
So that's just like a really, really different thing.
And that's one thing I saw with Minecraft. I was not surprised that the theater was packed. That did not shock me. What really shocked me was waiting online to get my popcorn and soda that I have to have if I go to the movies, was the amount of people buying plushies and
Mhm.
shirts and stuff like that. For theaters, this has to be a huge,
It's enormous.
huge boon.
This is enormous. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
enormous. There was a theater that had to call the police because the audience went so wild during the movie that they started trashing the theater and they had to bring the police in. So it's apparently a fucking zoo at some of these screenings. So
It's a movie. This is the closest I've ever felt to like somebody who watches a superhero movie and is like, or like a Star Wars movie and doesn't care about any of this stuff and is like, I don't understand why people are excited for these things, because every like 10 minutes something would show up and Jack Black would be like, it's a glub shitto, and the audience would go, hey, I mean, like, I have no idea. It's a pig with a crown on its head, and everybody starts clapping. I'm like, I have no idea what's happening.
That's so
I've
great.
never felt so out of place.
That's so great. I love that. That's
Yeah, no, it's
perfect.
wonderful.
Yeah.
I read a really interesting article about how, I thought it was an interesting article about how Minecraft is a sign of. No, I take that back. It was not an article. It was a Blue Sky thread by William Bibiani, that Minecraft is like a sign of the changing generational
Mhm.
shift in movies. That like, you know, pops, dad and granddad's like IP is not going to work so much anymore,
Right.
and you got to start moving into what the movie going audience grew up with
Right.
over the last 10, 15 years,
Yep.
and that's what Minecraft is.
Yep.
And yeah, it seems like that's what it is.
A really interesting thing I read was that it seems that video game movies only work when they're PG. PG-13
Yeah.
video games don't do as well. PG video games do, movies that do really well, and that's really interesting to me. And I can't 100% parse why that is. And
Is that true? There's like two that have done well, or I guess the Sonic movies, right? The Sonic
yeah, the
movies have
Sonic
done very
movies
well.
are doing really well.
Are
The
those all
fucking
PG?
Mario, the Mario movie made $1 billion.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
that's why I was thinking of
enormous.
too. But I wasn't thinking. For some reason, I don't think of Sonic as a video game movie.
Well, it is. Yeah, it is a video game movie, and so it's very fascinating, the idea that maybe actually the secret is that the video game movies that play younger are the answer, because maybe it's the older kids don't care as much about the movies or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to figure out why that is. Probably partially because you can't get the adults in who didn't play Assassin's Creed or whatever, right? So
sure.
they have no connection to the property, and then you have the older kids who like, oh, this sucks. This is nothing like Assassin's Creed. But in the little kids, they just like seeing their characters on screen.
Yeah,
that's enough.
And not just that, but also, I mean, with Mario, with Sonic, and even, I mean, Minecraft is like 15 years old. So there are parents out there who grew up with these things, right? Like, especially
I hope not, but probably.
I mean, definitely Mario and Sonic, and
Mario. Yeah, Mario's like 40 years old. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah,
and Sonic's not much younger.
Yeah.
But Minecraft has been out for 15 years, which means if you were like 16 and playing Minecraft, and now you're like 31, you could have a kid. You're out there with your kid. You're like, I'll take my kid to go see this thing.
I do wonder, when Minecraft came out, it felt like it really skewed quite young, although it's hard to know. It was sort of such a weird phenomena, Minecraft, when it came out originally.
I mean, it's hard for me to say, because I know when it came out, I had a lot of friends that were playing it, but these were all people in the industry.
Right.
So it was the thing was like, okay, this thing is really big, right? But I think a lot of them were, this thing's really big, let me check it out. And they got into it. Or like, this thing's really big, let me see if I can figure out a way to make a version of it for our company, and, got into it and stuff like that. So I don't know how long it took to connect with older audiences.
Yeah, that's the big question, is how long it took to connect with older audiences. Like Roblox still just connects with kids. That's a kid's game, essentially.
And pedophiles.
Yes, kids and pedophiles go together like peanut butter and chocolate. So yeah, I mean, I guess that older people, I can't play Minecraft.
I've tried. I can't get into it. I can't get into it. I don't have that mindset.
Yeah, it just feels like too much effort, and it feels like too much architecture. I just don't want. I don't want to do that. Like, I just don't want to have to do that.
Yeah,
and it feels like a game that's based largely on grinding. And
it's the same thing that kept me from ever getting into like World of Warcraft. Was like, I gotta go fish for the next 6 hours to get 7 fish eyes. I'm not doing that. I'm just not.
Yeah, World of Warcraft though, the aesthetic I liked, so I could
Yeah,
play it. And also World of Warcraft, I guess Minecraft has a story, but World of Warcraft had a really big overarching story, and they would have
yeah,
events that would happen, and sometimes the events would change the whole world, and that was enough to keep me. Also at the time I was drinking heavily, and it was a really good thing to get drunk and sit on the computer all night grinding pelts. You
sure,
know, like that would be like a thing I would do.
sure.
So, and I had friends that played too. So we were like in like a guild or whatever together.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well,
So
I can guarantee you one thing: within a week, a Fortnite movie will be greenlit.
I think it's already in the works.
I haven't looked up anything to see if a studio. I'm sure some studio has the rights to it, but
I think it's already in the works. I think it's
okay.
already in the works. Yeah.
Well,
I
they're
mean,
gonna fast track it,
they're going to fast track it. Yeah.
and Jack
Yeah.
Black will be in it.
Fortnite's the other one I can't play.
I cannot play Fortnite, but I definitely understand why people enjoy Fortnite.
I get it, but like I don't understand. Like I'm playing a first person shooter and I'm also building things. I don't understand what the fuck is happening right now.
There's too much with controls. Any game that needs me to hold more than like 3 buttons in my mind, I'm out. I'm
Yeah,
out. I'm
it's
done.
like crazy. Like I'm fighting a guy and he's fucking building a castle while I'm shooting at him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck did this guy just do? How did he do that? I have
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah. No, I that's one of the things with like the Spider-Man games is like, oh, different suits and you collect different things that give you like different like boosts that you can turn on at certain points. And I'm like, look, if I have to hit a button to open up a sub menu, I'm never going to use that thing. So it doesn't matter which one is that I'm just going to punch guys and web them, and that's it. That's going to be my whole deal.
Make video games Pong again.
Yes.
All right, we got any news this week?
We do. We got a lot of news. Haley Atwell, according to Hollywood Reporter, Haley Atwell is in talks to appear in Doomsday and Secret Wars. So we'll see.
We like it. We like her.
Yeah, we'll see.
But that was the big rumor, though. That was the big rumor before that she was going to play Captain Carter.
Yeah.
So
sorry, I'm very confused. When you did that thumbs up, a big thumbs up appeared on my screen.
Is it doing it again?
Not right now. No. There it is.
There it is.
Yeah. That's weird.
I wonder if this is going to be recorded for the folks at home that watch the show.
I don't know. It's very weird.
All right.
But, I guess the question is, will she be Peggy Carter that we've seen in MCU live action, or will she be Captain Carter from What If?
And from Multiverse of Madness.
From Multiverse of Madness, that's right. Yeah.
I bet she'll be Captain Carter because she just recently complained about Multiverse of Madness in a way that indicated to me that she complained and somebody else complained too about Multiverse of Madness. And it felt like neither one of them understood the assignment, which was they were there to get killed. And so she complained that Peggy Carter was not treated with respect and stuff like that. I'm like, no, she's cannon fodder. Like the premise is to kill characters that we recognize. Like that's the whole premise. And it isn't Peggy Carter. It's another universe.
Listen, you attractive British woman. Haven't you ever sat around reading comic books all night? This is what crossovers are. This is anytime you're in a different reality or in the future, characters there just to get killed off. That's what
100%. They're just there to get killed off every single time. Yeah.
Or they've already been killed and we get to see like their shattered armor or something.
Yes.
Yeah. On a similar note, Halle Berry was asked about showing up in the Avengers movies, and she pretty much said, no, not happening. But
I believe it.
But the way she said it leaves some space open, I guess.
I don't think so. She said, keep waiting.
She said, keep waiting. It's not going to be there. So I don't know. She was asked about Doomsday, but not Secret Wars.
Yeah. The thing is, I think that she is probably too expensive.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't know that Halle Berry is like gonna go take a lower rate to reprise Storm to get killed or whatever is gonna happen to her in that movie. I just don't see it. You know what I mean? Like I just don't. I don't see it. She's. Because she I don't
at the box office.
Yeah, I know, but she's still a big deal, and I don't know that. I'm not really sure how warm the Storm character is for her. Like how much she like some of these like James Marsden like is going to be fucking psyched to come back and play Cyclops. You know what I mean?
My favorite Doomsday Secret Wars meme has come out now.
Yeah,
which is a shot of James Marsden from Hop where he's driving a car and the Easter Bunny sitting next to him, And then a shot from Sonic where James Marsden is driving a car and Sonic is next to him.
Yeah.
And somebody photoshopped in James Marsden as Cyclops driving a car with Rocket next to him. Yeah, that has to happen, right? I mean, that's his career.
I do want to see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, which tells you that James Marsden doesn't have a good career. He's in movies that make a lot of money.
Oh no, James Marsden is a very successful career.
But I think he has an appreciation and a warmth for that character, maybe that a way that I don't know if Halle Berry has for Storm.
I remember because he did Superman Returns.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, they cut down his character in X3.
Mm-hmm.
They kill him off in like the opening, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember stories of him being really upset about that.
Yeah.
Because he really wanted to do more Cyclops stuff.
Yeah.
So he might see this as, okay, I get a chance to come back and do like one big thing, maybe.
He was in Superman Returns as the man who cooks Superman.
Yes. Yes. So there you go.
What a weird movie.
It's a very strange movie.
All right, what else we got?
Robert Downey Jr. sent out an invitation to his birthday party. He's turning, I don't know, 60 maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, 60.
And the invitation has a drawing of him as Dr. Doom, which may or may not reveal some stuff about Dr. Doom.
I fundamentally hope it does not.
I really hope it does not, because he's just wearing like a green
jumpsuit,
Gizmonics Institute jumpsuit.
Yeah,
and he's got a mask on, but the mask is like
it sucks.
It sucks, and he's got his hair sticking out, and his hair's all wavy.
Yeah, he does have that haircut though right now.
Okay.
So he maybe is gonna look like that in Doomsday.
God, I hope not, because it looks terrible.
Yeah, I do not like it.
And he's got like a king cape where it's got like the feathered leopard print on, fur on it, and it's like, oh, I don't like this look.
Yeah, I'm hoping that just the artist went wild with it for the birthday invitation. It does seem
the invitation has two other Dr. Dooms on it with like top hats on, and they look like Dr. Doom.
Well, they're probably he probably cut and pasted them out of other images, if I had to guess. But
I don't think so. They look like they're part of the art. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope it's not what Doom looks like, because that's a bad mask. I can make peace with a lot of the rest of the look there, but that mask is bad. That mask is
terrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it might be that bad because they might say like, well, we've done Tim Story put Dr. Doom's mask on screen. We don't want it to look like that. Like we want to make it look really different.
Yeah. So. Well, please don't. On further Doomsday information, Kevin Feige did a little interview and said that the movie will focus on the Avengers, Wakandians, Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, and the original X-Men all fighting Dr. Doom.
There we go.
So there we go.
I mean, that makes sense from the casting that we got. It sounds about correct.
Yeah. At CinemaCon, Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse was given a new release date of June 4th, 2027. So that's about 4 years after it was originally scheduled to come out.
Longer than that, because the movie was supposed to come out the year after Spider-Verse Part 1. That was the original date for it. They were going to be one a year.
Wasn't that like 2 years ago it came out?
It was 2 years ago, and
23?
It came out in 2023.
Okay, so yeah,
okay, I guess it's 4 years. Yeah, okay.
All right.
It actually isn't that big a gap, frankly. It's just they promised it the next year.
Yeah, it's a big gap when they're like, it's coming next year.
Yeah,
and then you're like, what happened? Like, we forgot to write it.
4 years for an animated movie is not crazy. Although that date's not going to stick. So I mean, I don't know. I don't think so. No.
I could see Sony being like, it's time to get this movie out. What are you guys doing?
I mean, I'm sure they're working on it, but I don't see. I can imagine it not sticking.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. Also at CinemaCon, it was revealed that the title for the new Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is sure to light up or has lit up the internet with theories and ideas of what it could be based on the comic storyline Brand New Day.
You know, the thing is, I don't know that it has to actually be connected to that comic storyline in any way, because we already did essentially the movie's version of One More Day.
Yes.
So like this is Brand New Day is just the next story after One More Day. And so I can see that maybe it will not actually follow that story, but the premise of reintroducing Spider-Man's new supporting cast and his new status quo comes over from that. I'm not 100% convinced that it's actually going to tie into the storyline.
I don't know if it will tie into the comic book storyline, but I do think elements of it will show up. Like I can easily see Sony and Marvel and everybody sitting around being like, thanks to the games, Mr. Negative has become a pretty popular character. He was introduced in Brand New Day.
That's a good point. And they actually put out a casting call for an Asian male 30 to 50.
That would fit that role.
Yeah, sure would.
So, I could see that happening. And then like some of the supporting characters that were introduced in Brand New Day could pop in. That could be maybe Sadie Sink is one of them, right? Like, who knows?
I mean, I would like to see JJJ get a bigger role now.
Yeah.
In the post original trilogy, the first MCU trilogy world, like have Peter working for the Bugle. Let's do it, man.
Yeah.
That's a great scenario. So, and Mr. Negative is a great character, great villain to use because he looks cool. He looks cool, and he is street level.
He's street level. He looks cool. He's got cool powers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, he was the main bad guy of the first game and people loved it. So who knows? Thanks to GameStop, we now have an idea of what the Guy Gardner Green Lantern ring looks like because they put up pre-sales for a $30 replica of it. I'm not in love with it.
Why does it have a stone band?
I have no idea.
That seems weird, right?
It does. I mean, obviously the ring in the movie is going to look better than a $30 replica. And also we're probably not going to focus on what it looks like too often.
Yeah.
But I'm not huge on the stone band. I've seen people online theorizing why it would have a stone band and being like, oh, they'll probably explain in the movie, blah, blah, blah. Like, I hope they don't stop the movie to be like, by the way, here's the story of my ring. Like, that would be annoying, I do like that it's got like a gem in the center. I like that. I think that's kind of cool looking. But the band, I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah, so I don't get it. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, the Green Lantern ring has always been a thing where it's like, and the Flash runs into this problem too. It's like, wait, this hero just wears a ring with his insignia on it all the time, and nobody ever puts this together. Like I do think at some point in Green Lantern they started explaining like, oh no, when he's not in Green Lantern form, it doesn't look like a Green Lantern ring,
right?
But the Flash just had Barry's just walking around with a ring with the Flash's symbol on it, and it's like, what are you doing, man? That's weird. He's like, oh, I keep my costume in here. I mean, I just like the Flash. Like, it's a weird thing. But what are you gonna do? Peacemaker season 2 is officially coming August 21st.
Nice.
So that'll give us some stuff to watch.
Very nice. They had a small clip in the latest HBO Max coming this year trailer.
I saw it, yeah.
It was a funny clip where there's a giant explosion behind Peacemaker. He kind of beat up looking, and then he kind of looks at the camera and does like a thumbs up, but it's like he is not okay. Like
he's obviously exhausted and doesn't want to do this anymore. He's like, yep.
Yeah. It's very good. It was very, very good.
That was good. I like that. And hopefully, Max, please don't air like 6 episodes a night. Like, I'm dreading trying to figure out how to do Andor right now. So, please. 1 episode a week.
Yeah.
That's a good way to go. Look at The Pit. 1 episode a week. The audience is growing every week.
Yeah.
Take notice.
I inducted somebody into The Pit this weekend.
Did you?
Yeah. Made them watch the first episode. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Also at CinemaCon, Fantastic Four footage revealed a big plot point. Spoilers. Sue Storm is pregnant.
It's Johnny's.
It's Johnny's. Uh-oh.
That's why the kid's a mutant. Yeah. I mean, I think we knew this though. That's the thing is like sometimes some of this stuff we heard about like a long time ago. Although I had thought that Franklin was already born. But I guess he's not.
I think the thought process was that he was already born and First Steps was in relation to him, that in the movie he would take his first steps or whatever, like that kind of deal.
I mean, I guess it could be Valeria, but we have not seen anything from little Franklin, so no. I'm assuming that Franklin's in her belly.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, in fairness, in the trailer, we see very little of anyone.
Right.
Like I saw the trailer before Minecraft, and one thing that hit me was like, wow, the dinner scene, Johnny's not there.
Right.
Like, where's he at? Like, I'm sure he shows up, but it's interesting that
He's probably late. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I wouldn't take that necessarily as like a plot detail.
no, I don't think it's a plot detail at all. But it was just the thing that popped out to me. It's like, oh, the only time we see them in the trailer all together is that last shot of them standing there, which I think is very much on purpose. But who knows? Continuing with CinemaCon, James Gunn said that Superman has pocket universes, sorcery, flying dogs, and Max Fleischer cartoons. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on there.
Pocket universes.
Pocket universes.
Oh boy, we're gonna have Superboy.
Well, the most famous pocket universe in all of DC is the pocket universe created to explain how the Legion of Superheroes still had Superboy in their team, even though he was wiped out of continuity.
Yes.
And it was, Legion's in a pocket universe. And nobody liked it. Everybody was upset about it. And who knows? Maybe in this movie, Superman at the end sticks John Byrne in a pocket universe. Who knows? Who can say?
Does that mean we're talking about the trailer next? You're saving that for the very end.
I'm saving that for the very end.
Okay.
Next up is that also it's in CinemaCon. David Cornswet said that he and James Gunn maybe said, somebody said that there is a 10-minute scene that is a conversation between Clark and Lois about their outlooks on life and politics and things like that. And a lot of people on the internet got very angry at this concept of people talking in a movie. And I was shocked by some of the reactions. Like, I don't want to see a Superman movie where they're just sitting around talking. It's a 10-minute scene. If it's well directed and well acted, it's going to be very, very good. We'll see how it turns out. It could be terrible. I don't know. But like, I don't have a problem with the idea of people talking for 10 minutes without an explosion going off or something.
No, it seems okay to me.
Yeah. But we'll see. And then, yes, finally, the extended preview was released both online and in front of Minecraft. And the people have seen it. And reactions are mixed, I would say.
I am curious about the decision to make this extended look be what if Superman got his ass kicked?
Yes.
It's a very interesting choice to me.
The choice here, seen in the theater, I think it got the reaction that they were hoping for.
Yeah.
Because when I started sitting in the theater on Saturday morning and watching it Saturday afternoon, and Superman's there and he's hurt and whatnot, and in the theater you hear people like, "Oh, Superman! Oh, it's Superman!" And then Krypto comes running up, and when Krypto jumps on him, my theater laughed very loudly.
Yeah,
they enjoyed that very much, seeing Krypto bounce around on him and stuff.
Yeah,
so that's clearly, I think, what they wanted the thing to be. Was, hey, everybody, Krypto. Hey, this, Minecraft is going to be a family movie. It's going to be a lot of kids. Hey, look at this cute dog jumping around. Like, I think it worked in that aspect. But between the first trailer and this preview, whatever the next trailer is, not to be that guy, Superman, give us a smile. Like, I want to see, like, everyone keeps talking about this movie that made it, and they're like, oh, it's hopeful and it's got a happy feel to it and energy to it. But the trailer and the preview are Superman looking depressed or getting beat up. And it's like, I want to see him being happy. I'd like to see that a little bit.
Yeah. What was really interesting was in the trailer, Krypto comes. Krypto's a good boy, but a bad dog. And he jumps all over. He's very excited to see Superman on the floor. And as dogs will do, they get very excited to see you on the floor and they jump around and they'll wrestle and stuff like that. And Superman's badly injured. And he finally is able to let Krypto know, take me home. And we see them go, Krypto dragging him across the tundra. And then the Fortress of Solitude rises out. And it seems like Gunn split the difference. That it's this crystal one, but it has the giant Superman door. So he kind of split the difference between what kind of Fortress of Solitudes we got.
The Silver Age Fortress of Solitude did not have a giant Superman door. It had a giant gold door with a giant gold key that you needed to open the door. So the Superman door, I think, is a newer thing.
Well, just having a door at all is a sort of a flash throwback to older days. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like having like a door that had to be opened, and then it's opened by Krypto barking. Like that feels really classic. you know, and then they go into this fortress and there's robots. One of them is K2SO from Andor, which is strange, very strange. That
I didn't think about that, but yeah,
yeah,
it
it's
is. Yeah.
an imperial fucking murder bot is
Yeah.
taking care of Superman. There is a new robot on the line, and she's very excited to see Superman.
Number 12.
Number 12. Superman's very badly injured. They take him into a room where they put him underneath a series of old-fashioned science fiction lenses, so they can focus the sunlight
Yeah.
on Superman to heal him. And he begins screaming. And a number of people online showed what their knowledge of Superman is or isn't. They were like, why are there robots in the Fortress of Solitude? This is so stupid. And it's like, no, man, he's had robots for a long fucking time.
I'm going to reveal something about myself. After this teaser came out on Friday online, I went to the Snyderverse subreddit.
Yeah.
And some of the reactions in there, you have to either know nothing about Superman or just be trying so hard to not like the movie. Like, some of the reactions were definitely like, there were people like, it's not for me. Like, hey, this is definitely a movie that people will like, but it's not for me. Yeah. And then there are people like, why are there robots and why do they wear capes? That's stupid.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, it's goofy, but that's what Superman is. So, like, Superman's kind of goofy. That fits. I think that works. There was a one person who was adamant that a dog would not jump on an injured person laying on the ground.
It's such a funny line to draw.
Yeah. And people kept being like, there's videos all over the internet of people like trying this kind of thing out where it's like, I'm going to pretend to fall down and see what my dog does. And it's all videos of dogs jumping on them or humping them and stuff like that. Like, that's what they do. Is like, no, dogs do not do that. Dogs have empathy and they do not do that.
That's crazy.
You know? So there's that. And it's like, that's a weird one to like, that's definitely you just trying to find a problem.
Yeah.
And then people complaining that's the first robot. Superman thanks the first robot and he says, we have no consciousness. There's no need to thank us. And then he looks over at the new robot and she goes, oh, he looked at me and like all happy and giddy. And like, if they have no consciousness, why would she be happy and giddy? And it's like, this is like one of the oldest jokes in the world.
Yeah, that's the joke, dude. Like that's you identified the joke. That's it right there.
Yeah. Stuff like that. But I mean, and then there were things that, we're like, that they brought up there were very good points. Like it's weird to end your preview with Superman screaming in pain.
Yeah.
Like, yep. I don't disagree. That's a weird thing to do.
Yeah, it's weird.
I don't understand that decision, Yeah,
I don't. That's the thing. I like elements of this teaser. I just don't understand the full decision-making process that got them to have this sequence that ends that way, that has Superman just laying around the whole time. I kind of just don't get it. Like, that's like a good part of a trailer, but is that the extended sequence you want to put out in theaters? I don't fully understand. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the trailer ends with like the tagline for the movie is "Look up." He's on the ground the whole time.
Yeah.
How about you show him up? Like, come on. Like, I don't. I'm very confused by the marketing on this.
It's funny because I like what I saw.
Yes.
However, I am baffled that I saw it.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like, look, I'm in the zone. You've got me.
Yeah.
But what is the audience you're trying to attract? Like the dog thing in my theater worked very well.
Yeah, that's great. But then you cut to a different sequence. Then you do two, like a twofer or whatever.
I feel like you end it there, maybe, right? With like take me home, and then he drags him, and you have the music pick up, and you show like more bits from different scenes or whatever, like which they do as well, right? They show different bits from
they show basically the trailer again, basically.
Yeah, they show basically the trailer again. But like, yeah, I throughout the whole making of this movie, all we've heard is like, oh no, it's a lighter tone. It's a happy Superman. He's the Superman that you know and love. They've released nothing to show me that.
Yeah.
And that makes me a little concerned.
I mean, I'm sure that's not a lie. I mean, I wonder if the marketing people are like, we have to bridge the gap between Murder Superman and this Superman. So let's do like some marketing that indicates that he's like not smiling and stuff. Then we can fool them when they get into the theater and see him smile. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is.
I don't know. They've also been doing test screenings, which have different rumors and leaks have come out of that. Some of them counter, like going against each other.
Yeah.
So who knows who's saying what's true?
Yep.
But there is one that I'm really hoping is true about Jimmy Olsen. that I won't discuss here because I don't want to spoil it. If it is,
I don't feel like that's a spoiler. It feels like just a plot point, like his subplot.
I guess, yeah.
He's being stalked by a model,
and she keeps sending him newts.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, that's a good Jimmy Olsen subplot.
That's a great Jimmy. Yeah, and he has no interest in her or whatever.
It definitely beats taking a bullet to the brain.
Yes. Yes. And there was another thing that said that Jimmy Olsen is constantly spraying himself down with like Axe body spray. And like even like there's times where he's in the background out of focus and you can see him doing it. And I was like, that sounds hilarious to me.
I've been watching that actor on Gemstones this season. And I just keep trying to figure out, like, I get it. I get the Jimmy Olsen of this guy.
When they first announced him,
I liked it
before, yeah.
But this season, especially of Gemstones, where he's being like kind of an Eddie Haskell a little bit, I was like, okay, yeah, I can see exactly how he's going to play this role. I fundamentally see it. So
yeah. Do you think he thought he was going to have a bigger role in Gemstones?
I mean, he's been in like 3 seasons. It's not that bad.
He's been in every season.
Was he in the first season too?
Yeah, the first season is him coming home and his,
okay. I can't remember what the story is.
It's him and his stuntman buddy trying to like rob the family.
Right. Okay.
But that first season really made it feel like a big part of the show was him and his dad learning to get along again. And then like he's barely been in the other 3 seasons.
No, he's been in this season quite a bit though, I think.
Like he's in like a scene or 2 every episode, but he's just there to be like, when the other brothers do something, like, come on, guys. And then that's pretty much it. Like
it feels like he's got a plot in this season that's about him stepping up to take over the business.
Yeah.
In a way that his parent, his dad and his uncle and aunt cannot do.
Yeah. He's taking advice from
Eli.
Goodman, from Eli and he'll be the real new face of it. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, that feels like, I wonder if it's one of those things where they had a story arc for that and then they just kept getting renewed and they were like not quite hitting that beat because they wanted to save it for the end, but I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
I started watching Vice Principals today.
That's a great show.
I had never seen it.
Oh, I love it.
And the biggest surprise for me, like I thought I knew what it was going to be. I was like, okay, I get it. Like I know what this is. But the big surprise to me was that Walton Goggins is a straight sociopath.
Yes.
That was very surprising.
Yeah. When that switch happens, I remember watching the series, and when that switch happened, I was like, I did not expect that at all.
Yeah, no, I thought they were just going to be like babies who were like fighting each other. But oh no, Walton Goggins might be a serial killer. He's truly deranged.
Yeah.
That's really great.
It's absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah. I love that show. I thought that show was hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know why I missed it, but I watched a couple episodes today and I was like, oh, this fucking rules. I was like, I looked at some reviews and they were like, the comedy is too mean-spirited. I was like, oh it is really mean-spirited, but I love it.
Yeah, it's right up my alley. I finished watching Deli Boys on Hulu. Yeah. High recommend from me. I enjoyed it very, very much. I thought it was very funny, and each episode has a good little cliffhanger to it, and it keeps feeding into itself. I really enjoyed it. I really hope they do another season.
Derek's recommendation this week, Deli Boys on Hulu.
Boys. Yes. Good times. Good times.
Is that all the news?
That's all I got.
Okay. Do we have letters?
We do.
Let's hear from the kids at home.
David Sanchez asks, can Darth Vader force choke Superman since Superman is vulnerable to magic? Or do you believe the Force is not magical, but rather just an energy field created by all living things? Therefore, Vader can't force choke Superman. The Phantom Menace gets all the blame for taking mysticism out of the Force, but New Hope seems to describe the Force in a more biological way. I think Vader can.
Yeah, I think Vader can too, yeah.
Yeah, I think he could. And not because of magic, but because the Force is a physical thing, and, if Vader has enough control over the Force, I don't see a reason why he would not be able to close off Superman's ability to breathe.
Yeah, they have really intense. If you're skillful with the Force, you can really lift unbelievably heavy things. I'm assuming that means you can apply a tremendous amount of pressure that even Superman would have a problem with. That's my guess. I don't think a lightsaber could hurt Superman, but I do think that the Force could. I think you could like knock him over with the Force, all that kind of shit. I think you could actually make that work.
Yeah. There's a great painting by Alex Ross of Superman fighting Darth Vader. And in the painting, Superman is holding like the blade of the lightsaber. And I love that it's like Superman's essentially like, this means nothing to me. What are you doing? And I do really like that.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great painting. Kenny Bass asks, if you could take one common object that you tend to have with you and turn it into a superhero gadget, what would it be?
Oh, obviously your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the abilities, if I could take my phone, even just the stuff that's on my phone, and if I could turn them into superpowers, like using my phone, like Dial H for Hero, but with a smartphone, yeah, no, forget it, man. Like, there's like so many, like, I would have omniscient understanding of geography. You know what I mean? I could have food appear directly in front of me.
I mean, your phone
I would
is
have
essentially a superhero
telepathy.
gadget.
It really is. It's a James Bond
Yeah.
gadget. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 100% the thing that I would do. I mean, I guess I don't know if it's the most imaginative answer, but it's, I think, the right answer. So
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
that's kind of cool. Like a Dial H for Hero update where they download different apps that give them different powers.
Yeah.
That would be kind of, is that too cringy? Is that too like trying to be about the modern day?
Maybe.
I mean, Dial H for Hero was very much about being in the modern day. You know what I mean? Like that was the 50s, right?
60s.
I mean, the phone was still for a certain generation, an exciting invention, and you know, it was like it was high tech and stuff like that. So I don't know, maybe.
Well, it was just a dial, though.
But yeah, but it's based on a phone. It's the premise is it's based on a phone,
and you can only have each hero once. Is how that works.
But that's the thing. That's why I think the downloading an app thing would be kind of cool. Like you'd have this library of powers, but you can only download them once, and then 24 hours they're gone off your phone.
You know, a fun bit you could do with that is whoever has the H dial app is like, oh, I gotta get powers. Something like falls out of a plane and they need powers, and they hit the app, and it's like, oh, you need to watch an ad before you can get another power. Like, oh, god damn it!
That's really great.
I think that could be fun.
I love that. It
could be fun. For me, it would be my book bag. I almost never leave the house without my book bag, and I think that'd be a fun gadget if it could turn into like a rocket pack or like, I don't know, have stuff. I don't know.
A bag of holding.
Well, that wouldn't be a gadget though. That'd be a magic item.
It could be a gadget if it has an opening to an alternate dimension of emptiness.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know,
that is true. So there you go. There's that question. And then Charles Villanueva asks, what's the deal with John Barenthal? I know he's an actor's actor, very serious, progressive, thoughtful, and sensitive about his craft, seems empathetic towards others, has some sweet and kind photos with trans and queer kids at conventions, but also hangs out with a lot of potentially right-wing leaning people, platforms, a lot of cops, undercover pigs, undercover agents, Navy SEALs, and military people on his podcast, some of whom are very excited about Punisher's return, according to Barenthal. He may seem more right-wing than John Krasinski if you look at the circles he runs with. Curious what your read on him is. Part of me feels like he might misunderstand Punisher if he's excited to make his first responder military friends happy.
So I think the thing about John Barenthal is that I think that he is probably the kind of conservative that has not existed in this country for like 30 years.
Yeah.
Who like loves the military, loves the cops, believes in like individual freedoms and stuff like that.
He is essentially an Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I think he's like closer to that. That's my take on it. You know, like he doesn't understand the point of being mean to people, I think. Because modern conservatism is really boiled down to who can we be mean to right now. And I think that's just not where his head lies. As far as the idea that he's doing it for his first responder buddies, I actually am not sure what that means when he says that. And I suspect he might mean that it's because it's about PTSD.
Yeah.
Like, I think it might be like about like, this is the weight of the job. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that might be what it is. I don't think that he's saying that the Punisher is going to like, you know, be a superhero or whatever. I think that he's saying that's my guess, because his version of the Punisher is not super heroic, frankly.
No.
You know, on these shows, he is even more than the comic book Punisher. He's crazy. He's more like actively or performatively crazy than the comic book Punisher, who's very like stoic and stuff.
Yeah.
But this guy has turmoil roiling inside his brain. And so, like, as we talk about this episode of Daredevil he was in recently, where he's like, I hear my son say, get them all, daddy.
Kill
Like,
them, daddy. Kill them
kill them,
all.
daddy. Yeah, I mean, that's fucked up, man. That's like, that's like crazy. So I think that might be where he's coming from. I think that the idea is like, we're going to reflect how the toll this takes on people. And you know,
Do you know, I never watched the Punisher TV series, the Netflix series. In the, I guess now MCU, was Punisher's family killed by crooked cops like it was in the comics, or was it just mafia?
I don't remember. I watched the first season of it, which, by the way, Eben Moss-Bachrach played Micro.
Oh, wow.
One of the guys that gets 2 roles in the MCU.
There you go.
I don't remember what his exact origin is in the MCU. I'd have to go back and look. It might have been. I think his family was killed by mobsters in the comics.
I thought it was crooked cops pretending to be mobsters.
I mean, they might have retconned that, but like originally it was just fucking criminals. You know what I mean? Like it was like that. Because his war was much simpler at that point. It was really just taking out criminals.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but also I think that if John Bernthal is in this season of Daredevil, he left Daredevil in the original iteration because he didn't like his storyline. So if he's back now for this one, and if the storyline does seem to be about him taking out bad cops and saying that this is not what the cops should be doing, I can't imagine that he's, glorifying the Punisher as a first responder. Like, it would not make sense to me.
Yeah. Or
so, yeah.
When they sent them new scripts, each page came with like $30,000 stapled to it. And he's like, oh, this script's a lot better.
It's crazy. I've been reading a lot about more and more information has been coming out about like the remaking of Daredevil, and he shot those scenes that we've seen already. Yeah. And then he was like, and then when the strike happened, he was like, I'm not coming back after the strike. I don't like the script. I won't do the script.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's a big reason why they went and retooled it, because they were like, we got to have him back. Like, we cannot, he was very popular, and he's kind of like great casting, and he's like, the thing is like D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox, he's like really into the character.
Yeah.
They're not just showing up to work and playing a part. Like, they're deeply invested in these characters. So that's hard to find.
Oh, that's one thing I forgot from news is that D'Onofrio said he can't appear in movies as Kingpin.
I am curious about that. I mean, it makes sense because Kingpin is a Spider-Man villain, and I imagine the TV package might be a different package than the movie package.
Yeah.
Because I know that Marvel has Spider-Man on TV.
Yeah.
They can't use Tom Holland, but they could use Spider-Man technically. I mean, I think they probably don't want to do shit like mention Spider-Man because it's probably just a fucking pain in the ass if Sony decides to get shitty about it.
Yeah.
But that actually makes sense because he was first introduced in Spider-Man. He might belong to both packages. There's a couple of characters. This was the Quicksilver thing.
Yes.
Where he was in both Avengers and X-Men packages. And so once upon a time, this was like a pastime for comic nerds, was like figuring out which characters belong to which studio, because like the packages were so deep sometimes.
Yeah.
And
I think I've discussed this before, but from my time at Activision, the way it was explained to me why Activision had the rights to make Spider-Man games, but EA could also make Spider-Man games, like Spider-Man appearing games, is that the way Marvel would license it would be based on the comic book.
Yep, that's exactly
so it's like, oh no, you have the rights to Amazing Spider-Man.
Right.
They got the rights to Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So who knows? Daredevil or somebody like Kingpin could be all over the place.
I mean, he's definitely in the Daredevil package because he was in the Daredevil movie.
Yeah.
But I wonder if part of the way that the Sony deal has been shaking out is that Sony's like, no, you don't get to put him in movies anymore or whatever. I mean, I don't know why they would want that. But like maybe they want them to put him in Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I mean, the thing that's confusing though is that a Spider-Man movie would be a Sony movie. I mean, Daredevil, Matt Murdock appeared in No Way Home.
Yeah, but Marvel's happy to do that.
Yeah, but that's the thing is the idea. The thought process was that Daredevil and Kingpin would show up in the next Spider-Man movie.
That's what we heard the rumor of.
Yeah, and then but here he's saying like, oh no, he can't be in movies, and honestly. My theory is that's just what they told him.
Yeah, the other thing is that I think anything can be worked out. That's the other thing. You know what I mean? Like anything can be worked out. So for Sony, if it feels like it's value added to Spider-Man movies, they'll fucking totally greenlight it. Like, why not? You know? And
because even more, like, the Daredevil movie was Fox.
No, I understand. Like I said, I think he's in both packages, but I think maybe now that we have new negotiations with Sony to keep Spidey in the MCU, there might be different details. Do you know what I mean? Like what Marvel can and cannot use in their movies, even though they may have other characters who belong to both, you know, Daredevil and Spider-Man, or Avengers and Spider-Man. Sony might be a little bit more jealous of it now. So they have something to negotiate with Marvel with, because the problem is that Sony doesn't have a tremendous amount of negotiating power, because Marvel can be like, okay, we're not going to make them anymore. And guess what? You have another fucking Morbius now.
So how did Craven turn out for you guys?
Yeah, how did that work out for you guys? Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I think that might be it. Because remember, it's all comes down to this Quicksilver thing, where technically he's in multiple packages. So,
yeah. It's very Marvel's, because of the way they did licensing and whatnot. I imagine it's very confusing for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, most of the stuff's back home now, but yeah, at the time they were really just piecemealing everything. They were selling every piece of it they could, because there was no vision that stuff was actually going to fucking happen. They just needed the money. Back then. So,
and again, I'll just put it out there. It's very possible that like D'Onofrio's agents or whatever just told him like, oh no, you can't be in the movie because of legal issues with the character, and he's like, okay, like that's it. Like they just didn't want to tell him like, no, you're just not in the movie.
That could be it too.
Yeah.
All right.
Here's my chair.
You ready to talk about the next episode of Daredevil Born Again?
I am.
Let's do it. Daredevil Born Again, Season 1, Episode 7, Art for Art's Sake. We open with Wilson Fisk getting the information that Angela Del Toro has been rescued, and that when she was rescued, she talked about how Daredevil was there.
We open with one of the best jokes in the MCU.
What's that?
Where Wilson Fisk is looking out his window, and behind him are Daniel and Buck. And Wilson Fisk says, when you look out this window, what do you see? And Daniel goes, Starbucks? And Buck goes, voters? And Daniel goes, voters? I just love that, like, he leans over and goes, Starbucks? That got me. That got me good.
I haven't given this a lot of thought until now, but the fact that they have a English mobster who works for Kingpin, whose name is Buck, is just very funny to me. Like, that's a very funny choice for an Englishman. Like,
I did not realize his name was Buck until this episode.
Yeah, they must have said it before, but I didn't really catch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but I mean, maybe it's like Buckminster, and his last name is Buckminster. They call him
his
Buck.
last name must be like Buckingham or something,
right? Like,
that's
but it's so fucking funny that they keep calling him Buck, and it's like, Jesus.
Let's see what IMDb says.
What does IMDb say about this guy's name? This is where we're going to reveal ourselves not to have deep Daredevil knowledge, because he's probably a character from the comics. What do you got?
Is that him?
Oh boy, can't find it.
No, it's Point Dex.
Well, you should search just Buck Daredevil. That will come up. That would be your middle-aged men Googling segment for this episode.
Oh, that's a good call. I was looking at IMDb.
No, that's too complicated. Buck Daredevil. Let the search engine do it for you.
Buck.
What do you got?
Buck Cashman.
Oh my God.
Yep. Also known as Bullets, is a Marvel character and U.S. government agent with superhuman strength, speed, and durability.
Okay, I know that character. Okay. Well, that's funny.
He looks very different in the comics.
Yeah, he sure does. This is a case definitely they're just pulling names out of the Wikipedia. Like, that's 100% what's happening.
Buck Cashman is not a name I would be like, that's British.
I'm going to cast a British guy in that role.
Hello, I'm Buck Cashman.
So they tell Kingpin that Daredevil rescued Angela Del Toro, and Kingpin is not psyched about this, and he sends everybody out, and he starts thinking about how he's going to deal with this.
He's going to do what every teenage boy does when he gets dumped. He's going to sit at the window and cry while it rains outside,
looking at Starbucks. Angela's in the hospital. She is freaking out. She's got some PTSD going on, it seems like. Understandable.
Sure.
One of the things that I was reading about the remaking of Daredevil is that if you look at the original clips, There's no Angela. That's a man in Muse's lair.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think they kept Angela as a running. She was probably gone after the 2 White Tiger episodes, and they kept her as a runner in the new version.
Or is it? I mean, we saw Muse bring a guy in there and hook him up to the machine.
No, it's like fighting with Daredevil.
Okay. We
so
also, by the way, we missed another good joke in the opening.
What's that?
From Daniel?
What's that?
Where when they're talking about Angela and Daniel says, Buck is like, "Oh, it was Daredevil," and Fisk is like, "Are we sure?" And Daniel says, "We don't know. She lost a lot of blood." Well, she lost. And he says something like 20 liters. I think that's a lot. And I like that he's like, I don't know what a lot of blood is. I like Daniel.
So Matt's sitting with Angela in the hospital, and he's like, you're okay. You're okay. He's a good dude. You know what you mean? He's being a good dude. He goes home.
That's why he's there. He's trying to get info.
About what?
About what else she might have seen there. So he can figure out more about Muse. He says to her, "Did you see anything strange?"
I guess that is true.
And her answer should be, "Yeah, I saw a guy draining my blood."
But the thing is that he could just have Cherry sitting in there. You know what I mean? If he just wants
but although we see later, Cherry's not happy with him.
I know. Cherry's like, I gave you the specific information and you dared to act upon it. He goes home and he starts showering, and he has a lot of blood coming out of him.
Is he peeing blood?
No, I believe that it's like coming out of his like hair and like his.
It can't be
chest. Why not?
Because he was just at the hospital. There's no way he was walking around the hospital with blood all over him.
The thing is that what we're dealing with is, again, a Frankenstein television show.
I agree, but I believe he was pissing blood, which is not like, oh, funny, but like he just had a big fight. That happens to boxers and stuff, right?
I agree. I'm not convinced that the Disney Plus is going to have Daredevil pissing in the shower. I'm just not convinced that as far as they are willing to go with this program.
They have him banging in the shower.
So Heather shows up. And they start getting it on. Now,
Heather shows up. She looks down and she's like, "Matt, you're pissing blood." And he's like, "Let's have sex."
One thing I want to bring up is that I have a real problem with Heather.
You got to turn your light on.
Oh, it's getting dark, isn't it?
Yes.
Hold on, gang. There we go. Thank you for. I
just looked over. I was like, "Am I going blind? What's happening?"
I have a problem with Heather.
Yeah.
If she wears her hair differently, I have no idea who she is. Every time they cut to her with her hair back, I'm like, wait, who's this? And then I go, oh, that must be Heather.
Yes, I have the same problem.
It's crazy. Somebody in the Discord said that his wife has the same problem, that she fundamentally looks different with different hairdos.
I believe she has 3 different hairdos on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes her hair is curly, sometimes pulled back, sometimes it's just straight down.
Yep.
Which I imagine is reshoot stuff.
It has to be. Yeah.
Okay, because I'm pretty sure she has 3 different hairdos.
Yeah, I think she does. And that's a big part of why I have a hard time recognizing her between scenes, because she's just changing her hair constantly.
Yeah.
So, and all white people look the same. So it's just like, who can tell which one it is?
Yeah.
So they bang in the shower, and then the next morning, Matt's getting ready to go to work, and she's like, "Hey, what's the deal, man? Like you're out all night, and then you come home all bruised up." And he's like, "You know me, I'm a clumsy blind guy." It was just like such a crazy thing to say.
Foggy told Karen that I was an alcoholic.
what a crazy thing to say. And she's like trying to get him to like open up. I don't know if she knows he's Daredevil per se. I don't know what she knows. She knows something is off. And she says that you have trauma that you're not dealing with, and it's manifesting itself in this way. But I don't know what she thinks he's doing at night. That's the thing. Because she was like, I came home last night and you weren't in bed.
Yeah.
And he's like, I went for a walk. So I just don't 100% know what she's suspecting. I mean, at the end of this episode, she has to begin putting 2 and 2 together.
Sure.
I mean, she's not in a great condition at the end of the episode, but once she gets like her shit together, like the fact that Daredevil knew her name is going to have to start ringing some bells. But they have a heart-to-heart a little bit, but Matt still isn't opening up to her in any kind of meaningful way. They do say, I love you to each other, and Matt does his blind man touch on her face.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to need this for later in the episode.
But also, I think I liked it because even if that scene didn't happen later in the episode, it just feels like it's part of this scene.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like, it's a very gentle and tender
Yeah.
way to create and to say to her, I'm paying attention to you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that this is the way that I see you. And so I think that it was really nice, actually. But yes, it does in fact come into play later on in the episode. At the office, Cherry is like, dude, I told you there's a serial killer. I told you not to do anything about this guy murdering 60 people in the city. And Cherry's like, fuck you, I'm out of here, man. And like, I quit, maybe?
It's not clear.
He says you're on your own this time, but I don't know if he just
Yeah.
means Muse.
I didn't think he was quitting, but I took it as like he was like, I'm not going to help you with Daredevil stuff.
Yeah. And Matt is like kind of like arguing with him. He's like, you know, when you were on the force in between the episodes of the original Daredevil show, you would call me, which makes it sound like Cherry knew who he was before the first episode of the season. And the first episode of the season makes it seem like Cherry found out who he was on that rooftop.
Yes, but I mean, you know, Ben Urich had like ways to contact Daredevil, right?
Yeah, I guess that's the case.
So,
Also, that whole first episode is reshot, so it's possible that the original version of this that Cherry just always knew. Do you know what I mean? Like, so what'd you just smile about?
just a bad joke I thought
of. Wow, that's very off-brand for you.
Yes.
So in the Kingpin's office, Kingpin and Buck are like, why the fuck is this guy back now? Like, Jesus Christ, we thought we were done with this dude. And Buck's like, you know, if Daredevil's out trying to get Muse, maybe that's not the worst fucking thing that could happen in this city. Like, maybe that's going to just take care of it for us. And Kingpin is like, no fucking way, man. Like, and I think partially it's like, no way we can't have a vigilante get this guy, but also no way this fucking guy destroyed everything I had, and we made like a deal where like he was going to stop being Daredevil and I was going to stop being Kingpin, and we were just going to let it go. And he's like, and he fucking broke the deal. So,
well, also I can see a view from Kingpin of being like, I become the mayor, and now this motherfucker is going to show up and start taking away the headlines from me and show that like do things that I promised to do.
Yeah, that too. I mean, that's like a lot. There's like a lot of stuff informing Kingpin's attitude here.
Yeah,
including the fact that as he returns to being Kingpin, like psychologically, the fact that Daredevil comes back at that time feels. Why are you making that face? I can't talk when you're making that face. You look like you're sucking a dick right now.
It's for the viewers.
Good Lord, nobody wants to see that. Jesus, like you got. No, because you had like a nipple in your mouth.
Yep.
It was horrible. You know, I think that's all big pieces of it. Vanessa meets up with Luca, and Luca is like, hey, listen, man, fucking, also Matt goes back to see Angela, and she tells him that there were sketches of faces all over the all over the lair.
And also we see the detective from episode 5, the bank one, right? That's her, right?
Yeah.
And another cop go down to Muse's lair.
So I sort of hated this.
Yeah, I feel like they would send more than just 2 detectives.
There would be a whole fucking detachment.
There would be a whole crime scene investigation unit down there, right? Yeah.
It would be cordoned off. There would be cops up and down the tunnels. There would be 10 cops in that fucking room. There would be fucking forensics guys, and there'd be no press. They wouldn't let press down there. There'd be
press outside the tunnel.
Well, I mean, we don't really get to, I guess they walk in outside the tunnel. We see them walk in. Yeah, there'd be press out there. They would have giant Klieg lights in there. I mean, like, I kind of found that aggravating because I don't 100% know why they didn't do that.
Yeah. Well, they didn't do it so that later on Kingpin can send in his own boys and Daredevil could go in and do stuff.
Yeah, but then that just becomes like another interesting obstacle for those characters to get over. I mean, it isn't like Daredevil doesn't fucking hit a cop in the face. So
it's not like Daredevil doesn't leave his fingerprints all over the place because he takes off his gloves and starts touching everything.
I will say that I'm not convinced they're going to dust for prints in there.
I'm probably not, but still, it would be something if I was Daredevil, I'd be like, I can't just leave my fingerprints everywhere.
It's possible. Here's a headcanon that Daredevil puts a latex solution on the tips of his fingers, which allow him to still feel, but do not leave behind the oils from his fingerprints, which is what leaves fingerprints.
No. I don't think he's dipping his hands in the latex and then putting on the gloves. I just don't buy that. Sorry.
I mean, yeah, probably not. But anyway, so yeah, I just didn't like that. It just didn't feel real. It felt real. I mean, this is like a lazy critique. It felt like CW.
Sure.
Like it just felt like we don't have the budget to do more than 2 cops here, so we're just going to do 2 cops here. So that kind of bummed me out. Because,
well, I don't think it was a budget thing. I think they just didn't think about it. I think they were just like, oh, and we'll show them going down there, and then later
I can't believe that that's the case. I can't believe that they didn't think about it.
Yeah,
I just don't. I just don't believe it. Like I just don't believe it. Vanessa meets with Luca. And Luca is like, hey, listen, everything's fucked up, man. The mayor's fucking everything up. It's making everything really bad. Maybe, especially since he's not in charge, like there's just chaos now. Maybe we need a new guy in charge. And he's like, maybe you could help me. I don't know. Maybe you might have something that you could do for me to make this thing better. So it's kind of interesting. Then
she lies to Luca because Luca says, Fisk said I have to pay $2 million now. And she says that I said that.
Yes.
I made that decision.
So there's like a lot of like deception happening here because spoilers, we learn that she tells Fisk that Luca's trying to kill her and Fisk sets Luca up to get killed. But yeah, she is lying here. So, yeah, that's who he gets killed at the end of the episode. It's Luca. She sent him there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Kingpin knows.
Oh, see, I didn't think he knew that she sent him.
I think that 100% he did. He was waiting for him. He had fucking.
No, he was definitely like sitting around waiting around, but like I didn't get I didn't get the sense that he. That's the thing I took away from it. What was she's trying to kill him, and either he knows she's trying to kill him, or he somebody's trying to.
I mean, I guess that could be the thing because the other thing, the thing is that it's very pointed at the end when he says, "Call Vanessa and ask her if she wants the steak or whatever."
Yeah.
So it's like letting her know that he's there. I mean, like, so I can't
like that read to me of him being like, "Call Vanessa and let her know it failed."
But that's the thing. Is that what the deal is?
I don't know.
It's hard. He's such a wife guy. It's really hard for me to believe that.
Such a wife guy, and he's such a convincing whisperer. That it's hard to read his emotions.
Yeah, that's the thing is that I can't. We're getting ahead of ourselves, but I have a very hard time figuring out what he does or doesn't know because I feel like if he knew that Vanessa was trying to kill him, he'd be much angrier.
I don't disagree.
So I wonder if Vanessa is earning his trust that was lost with the Adam thing by letting him know. Yeah. I mean, maybe that's the deal.
Yeah.
So I don't 100% know. Maybe we'll find out next week. I don't know. Next week isn't all new. Next week was totally new. Next 2 episodes are totally new.
Okay.
So we go to Heather, and she's meeting with Bastian Cooper, who we saw in that episode where she was doing a book signing. And Bastian is having a hard time. He comes from money, and he talks about how he wanted to be an artist, but his folks didn't want that. His folks wanted him to learn Taekwondo so he could fight superheroes. And
and at the same time, the detective is breaking down everything about Bastian to Fisk.
And it's like
it's going back and forth.
We get his whole background that he killed his Taekwondo instructor
after 3 months.
He got good fast,
or he got shot him.
But I'm saying like he killed his instructor and he's still able to fight Daredevil. You know what I mean? Like
that's one of my complaints.
She's like saying like, I think he's Muse. This guy, Bastian Cooper, I think is Muse. And as Bastian, who we all knew was Muse, it's kind of like not a satisfying reveal, kind of, because it was so obvious that he was going to be Muse. It was just so obvious.
Here's the thing I like about it.
What?
Is because when the scene starts with him in her office, and I was like, oh, they're going to drag it out for like 2 episodes, and it's so obvious. And they don't. It's like, boom, 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 here we go. So I don't mind it because they didn't drag it out.
That's fair. And they didn't do like a whole bunch of episodes where he's sitting there talking to her and we have to fucking sit through it. Like they just like, okay, fine. This is Muse. We know this is Muse.
Yeah. Let's just get this. Let's just move. Let's just go.
Yeah. He starts getting like more and more aggressive in the therapy session. And he starts, this is another complaint I have about this episode is that he starts being crazy. And I don't think Heather responds like a therapist.
No, based on what we've seen of her so far, between this and her working with the Fisks, I don't think she's good at her job.
It might be the case because like I feel like a therapist is like, oh, Bastian, I understand this is really upsetting for you. What great art. Wow, you've done really good work here. Like that's what a therapist would say because they're trying to defuse the situation. But she's like, you fucking maniac.
Well, I mean, to go back with the Fisks, when they're sitting there and she's like, tell me about Adam. And Wilson's like, I'd rather not discuss those things. And she's like, no, let Vanessa get into like deep details about his hands and whatnot.
Yeah,
like, that's some bad therapizing.
I mean,
I'm not a therapist. I don't know.
Unless she's trying to fuck Kingpin over. Maybe that's the big secret. She's trying to take over the underworld.
Maybe. But then here, when he's like, yeah, they kept making me learn Taekwondo and I didn't want to, and they hired a guy for me, and he's gone now. Oh, that's cool. Like she's like, why don't we stay on that as you start bleeding profusely from your nose?
Yeah.
And I have a box of tissues next to me. I do not offer you one.
That does seem that bad. That is what thing a therapist does is they are very good at dispatching tissues when they are needed. And he uses that blood to draw Muse's mask on a piece of paper, and she figures it out. And he has a great line. He's like, I know what you're thinking. Like, can I make it to the door? And then she tries and he gets her. I like that very much. That's like good serial killer dialogue. I think
that's good. Like horror movie, slasher movie kind of stuff.
Yeah, I like that quite a bit. He beats her up, and we cut to Daredevil. Daredevil sneaks into Muse's lair, and he starts checking out the sketches. He uses his super touch, which I'm not 100% sure how clear the show has been on this power. I'm honestly like, if you're not a comic book guy, do you know that like this is a thing he does?
I can't think of anything in the show that like,
because this is really fine detail. Like he's
he's touching a piece of paper that has blood all over it and figuring out that it's his girlfriend's face.
I mean, because the blood is raised, right? So he can feel the thing and he can understand it in his head. That's the nature. But for a person who's not familiar with the fact that he is truly superpowered, like not just like I hear good, but he is like superpowered.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've made that clear to the audience.
No. I don't know how much they made any of his powers clear to them.
I agree. I have seen some complaints about this scene. Like, how does he know? He touches it and he knows her face. I'm like, no, I buy that. That's 100% a Daredevil thing. Like,
oh, for sure. Yeah.
If it was printed, if it was printed, no, he couldn't do it. But anything that's drawn or has blood because the blood dries raised, like he'll feel it. Like he could actually probably could get printed stuff too.
In the old days, now not anymore because it's the way that printing's done. It's laserjet. But like in the old days, he would be able to like feel a comic and like know.
Yeah, and no, it was So for me, I like that a lot. Because this is like super duper Daredevil stuff. Like this is just, but again, I just wonder how many people are like, what the fuck is happening here?
Yeah.
So he realizes that this is Heather and he knows that she's in trouble.
He's got to check a couple of them though, because she does keep changing her hairstyle. So he's like, let me just make sure.
He goes to her office, but first he has to knock out a cop. This actually speaks to a complaint that we had previously. Is the cop walks in and he hits him one time with the billy club and then the cop's out. Done. This is not a 6-minute karate fight.
No.
So meanwhile, we have Officer Powell, who has also figured out what's going on here, and he has figured out that they have these things and they realize that this is Dr. Glenn. Yeah. And so they tell the mayor, and mayor's like, all right, I want you to take your bad cop force and go to the
thin office. Dark line. He calls
the thin
it.
Dark line. He calls it. Yeah. I like that very much. So Heather is tied up. She wakes up. She's tied up. She's on a canvas, and Muse is there. Muse is there in his suit. He's got a gun.
His suit is made out of canvas too, isn't it?
Yeah. They mentioned that.
Really cool.
They mentioned that. Yeah, the suit is made out of canvas. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really cool.
It's really cool. And it helps because, you want these suits in the live action to have texture.
Yeah.
Because it reads better and canvas has texture. So that does, I'm sure they're putting extra texture on the suit, but it really does.
I'm sure they're doing something to it, but I like the idea that his whole suit is made out of canvas. I was like, that's fine. And it's got like the canvas staples holding it together and stuff. I was like, that's very cool.
No, it's very cool. He's got a gun and he begins draining her blood. And as he's doing it, he hears sirens, and he realizes that the jig is up. So he's trying to make it go faster. And she once again does the fucking "you coward, you're a coward hiding behind a man." Like, this is not what you want to do. Like, you want to definitely sweet talk this guy.
Well,
Like,
this show, for anyone that's listening to this that is studying to be a therapist, there are two things I want you to take from this. One, don't goad your client.
yeah, don't do it. No goading. This is
No
a no
goading.
goading zone.
And two, have a secretary or assistant that sits in the lobby, because all of this could have been avoided if, when he slammed her against the wall, the assistant was like, something's going on.
I'll tell you what, my therapist doesn't have an assistant.
A lot of therapists don't.
Yeah.
But this is a great explanation of why you should have one.
Yes, in case a serial killer, psychopath, supervillain shows up.
You never know.
You never know. But yeah, mine
because
doesn't.
The cops are going to take between 15 to 20 minutes to get from down on the street to upstairs. They take forever.
Part of the deal here with that, I mean, we're getting ahead of ourselves yet again, but part of the deal here is that you can't just bust in because you don't know the situation and you don't know what the hostage situation is. You have to kind of figure things out. Even these bad cops know that. I think they eventually do bust in, but like, I think that the premise here is supposed to be like, we got to figure out what we're doing, how this works. So she starts strangling her because she's goaded him into strangling her, and he starts being mad. And at that moment, Daredevil blows through the window, and I cheered. Like a superhero blowing in through a window in the background. That fucking
good times. Good times.
I love that shit, man. Like, I love that shit. And they have a fight. It's not even much of a fight. Daredevil is just beating the shit out of Muse.
No. It's way more of a fight than it should be. Again, Master Ninja Daredevil versus a guy with 3 months of Taekwondo training.
I mean, but he must have more than 3 months. He's got
still. And it's half-hearted training because he's like, I didn't want to do any of this stuff. I didn't want to do any of that. So it was half-hearted. Daredevil shoots him through the shoulder with a grappling hook.
Yeah.
And still the fight goes on.
Yeah. Do you know what's really interesting? Spoilers for season 2, I guess, but the showrunner said this, is that Muse is in season 2.
Oh.
So that's interesting. It makes me wonder if this is not Muse.
No, this is Muse.
You think so?
Yeah.
You don't think it's a copycat?
I think we might have a copycat in season 2.
Isn't there another fucking mural at the end of this episode?
Not that I remember.
Oh, there is a mural in season 2. They took set photography. It's a Daredevil mural. It says "Born Again."
Okay.
And David Mack, the comic artist who created, was one of the people. I think one of the people that created Muse. He does all the murals for Muse, and so they have that in season 2. So he's doing murals. So, but of course, as we discussed last episode, in the comics, Muse does die and go to hell. So, and then come back as a ghost. So who knows?
Well, I mean, spoilers. Foggy's in season 2.
Yeah, but we don't know in what capacity. We don't know if it's flashbacks or what.
No, we don't know.
Unfortunately, there is a storyline where Foggy did pretend to die and faked his death and then came back. And I just, again, the way that he dies in this, it's funny because in the original version of this show, he died off screen. It happened in between shows, and here they showed it, and that's much harder to fake. To fool Daredevil that your heart stopped is way harder to do. Like, it's much easier if it just happens off screen and we don't know how it happened or whatever.
To be fair, according to the show, you can half-heartedly take Taekwondo lessons for 3 months and be as tough as Daredevil. So Foggy could have spent like a week with a yogi and learned how to slow his heart down to like virtually nothing.
It's a good point. That is a good point. So they have a fight. When Daredevil shoots him with the grappling hook, I really like that very much. It was really cool. And it's really cool because he has a grappling hook. Did he even have a grappling hook in the original series?
I have no idea.
I know he didn't do a swinging.
Having one.
I think he said nunchucks, right? Like he just had like Billy Club nunchucks. But I quite like that. I thought that was pretty cool. And I don't mind Daredevil getting really violent here because this is the situation where a superhero gets really violent. Like that's we're very used to
Hey,
this.
you're threatening my girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is really personal. I also, by the way, like that Heather Glenn is the therapist to Muse and to Kingpin, because that also feels super comic booky to me.
It
You
is
know
very
what I mean?
comic.
Like
Yeah.
everybody's just connected. Like, and that's
Yeah.
I like that. I
There's
really,
one therapist in all of New York.
yeah, I actually do like that.
I mean, it helps that like she's clearly a high end therapist,
and she's famous. She has a
and she's
book.
famous. Yeah, and his family, right, is rich and whatnot, and the Fisks are rich. I would say, as a high end rich therapist, she should have an assistant in the waiting room.
I mean, maybe she just wants the money for herself, man. Like who wants to pay? Who wants to pay a living wage to a?
She also appears to be in a walk up, which like
that actually is reasonable. It's probably a nice old building. Like it's probably a nice old building. She might even live in that building. I don't. No, she doesn't. He walked her home, and it didn't look like the same building to me.
Yeah,
but so the cops show up, and the cops stand outside, and they hear a fight happening, and they don't seem to register that they hear a fight.
Not only that, the cops show up. And then after they show up, Daredevil shows up. So they were out there to see him smash through the window. And they're like,
I don't think they had arrived yet.
No, they did, because they come before he comes.
I think
he's choking her. No, Muse is choking her.
Yeah.
And then the sirens go off. Like you can hear the sirens of the cars, and he goes to the window and looks, and you see two police cars come up, and he's like, no, they're not supposed to be here yet. And he picks up the gun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
you're right.
Then Daredevil comes crashing through the window. So they saw him crash through the window, but they're constantly looking up at the window like, I wonder what happened over there.
I wonder what's going on in that room. And you hear, ooh,
yeah. Somebody just came smashing through that window into the building. Should we go up there or what? What do you think? And they're like, let's give it a minute or two.
Yeah. So they're fighting, and Matt is like finally beating the shit out of Muse. He's like got him up against a bookcase and just wailing him in the face again and again and again. And then Muse gets back up on his feet, and he's ready to attack Matt. And then all of a sudden he gets shot dead. And we see that Heather has his gun, and she has gotten up from the floor, and she has put 3 in his chest, center of mass. Heather, good shooting. That is exactly what you want to do. Everybody will say go for a headshot, but it's really easy to miss a headshot. You want to go center of mass.
And it helps that Muse has a big red circle on his chest that you can aim at.
And as we learned in this week's episode of The Pit, anything between the nipple and the navel is a bad place to get shot.
Yeah.
We learned that this week on The Pit. So
that one thing was like, well, if he was exhaling, I was like, wait, what? How much do my organs move around when I'm breathing? My God.
Quite enough. Yeah. Quite a bit. So she collapses, and then Daredevil's like, Heather, Rachel. And he's like, stay with me. And he kind of gets her stabilized. I don't know how he gets her stabilized.
I think he just put the tourniquet on, I think. And
Yes, I mean, I feel like she should be getting like an IV of blood. I mean, maybe I'm just too.
At the hospital she will, but I mean, he doesn't have like a.
I mean, I know that's what I'm saying. Like, is that really stabilized? You know,
stabilized. I think stabilized enough that like she's not going to die in the next 5 minutes, kind of.
Okay, fair enough. Enough.
I thought when she fell, I thought she was dead. I was like, oh, they're pulling the grand Daredevil scheme of now his girlfriend is dead. And I was very shocked that she was not dead. They're doing
a much more interesting thing, I think, which is that she's going to figure out that he's Daredevil, I think.
I agree. I'm not complaining that she's not dead. I want to be very clear. Yeah. I was like, oh, good, she's not dead. I was like, oh, good, because I want to see more of their story together. You know. So
I also think, here's my big swing guess. I think Fisk is going to reveal that he's Daredevil. That Matt Murdock is Daredevil. Yeah. And that's a really great Mark Waid story where he's running around wearing a "I'm not Daredevil"
t-shirt. Yeah.
And I kind of hope they put somebody in an "I'm not Daredevil" t-shirt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that started with Bendis, because it was Bendis's run where he was revealed, and then they did a whole big thing where like it became questionable if he was Daredevil or not, and then at some point after that is when Waid came in, and Waid and I believe the artist was Chris Samney would have him wearing a t-shirt that says "I'm not Daredevil" on it.
It's so good.
And his love interest in that, who was still positive he was Daredevil, would keep testing him in different ways to see, like to see if he was really blind. Like he would be standing there talking, she would just like lift up her shirt And he'd be like, I can't let her know. I can tell what she's doing.
It's so great.
Yeah.
I do hope that's where they go. I mean, I think like a season 2 where he's like kind of on the run, because I just can't see an outcome of this. If you look at the trailer for the next 2 episodes, the cops are fighting him in his apartment. So I can't see an outcome of this where he's not, where Kingpin does not.
Kingpin's going to pull a Superman in Injustice.
I don't know what that is.
One?
No.
In the Injustice comics, based on the video games.
Yeah.
And these became very popular comics. At some point, Superman just tweets out Bruce Wayne is Batman. And it's one of my favorite pages of a comic of all time.
It's so great. Funny. That's so funny.
I love it. I love that just one day Superman's like, I'm done with this Bruce Wayne is Batman tweets.
Send tweet, baby.
Yep.
The cops bust in and they find Muse. Now, the thing is that we have enough time with the cops in the office, and they're like, hey, she's been stabilized, yada, yada, yada. And then we have a crane shot of Muse's corpse laying on the canvas. He has become the artwork.
Yes.
That it makes it seem like he truly is dead. Like it does. They kind of go out of their way.
And it's also like the one cop says to Fisk it was some kind of weird murder-suicide plan. He was definitely planning to die there.
Yeah,
I'm assuming this is my final piece of art.
This is my final
laying
work,
out the canvas on the ground.
Right.
And when the cops come, he doesn't say, oh no, they found me. He says they're here too soon.
Right.
Like this was his plan, I think, was I will kill her and then kill myself, and that'll be the end of it.
Yeah. That does make sense. But I think the important thing story-wise is that they really do show us that he's dead. Like this does not feel like they revive him on the way to the hospital. Like, I mean, I guess maybe they could do that, but like they're just like standing around while he's laying on the floor.
I mean, it seems like he's been laying there for a while because the fight happened. It was bright as day. When Kingpin gets there, it's night.
Yeah.
So he's been laying there for a while.
It seems that way, yeah. And so Cole North is like, hey, so we actually did nothing to do with this. He was already dead when we got here. And Fisk is like, that doesn't really matter. That's a small piece of information that nobody needs to know. You guys did this. You guys saved the day. You took down Muse. And he's like, take the wins where you can get them, basically.
Which I really want somebody to be like, you don't think the therapist is going to wake up and tell everybody that she shot him? Because that's what happened.
That's the thing that I was also troubled by. That does feel like a huge hole in their plan, like an enormous fucking hole in their plan.
Yeah.
So I am curious.
It would be funny if the next episode she's like, "No, I shot him. I killed him." And then Wilson Fisk is like, "You can't trust what she says. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Her boyfriend's Daredevil. She didn't even have a clue." That's how it comes out. He just does it that way.
Gandolfini is sitting in Wilson Fisk's chair, lording it up, and I like that because I think that we've been kind of wondering where his story's going. Like it's not, I'm not in a rush to get his story going. I like him, but like, what is his desire? And him sitting in the mayor chair, it tells us,
makes it very clear.
He's on he wants to go big. And he has BB Urich come in and he's like, so here's the deal. Like you fucked me over really bad, like real bad. You owe me one and you don't want to piss off Fisk. And he's like, so you're going to write a thing or publish a thing saying that the cops took Muse down. It was not Daredevil. People are going to say it was Daredevil, but you're going to say it was the cops. And she is not excited about it, but she has got to accept. She's up against the wall here. We're back at the hospital again. And Matt is there with Heather waiting for her to wake up. She wakes up and she's like, she has a line that I've seen has confused a number of people online where she's like, someone else was there. And they're like, oh, who else was there? It was Daredevil. Daredevil was who was there. She says, and then we in the background there's a TV that's like saying, Mayor Fisk's bad cop initiative has taken down the serial killer Muse, and she's like, like
I wish it was just called the bad cop initiative. That would be amazing.
And then she goes, hey, you know what I remember? Daredevil said my name. And Matt should have been like, he must read your books.
Yeah.
And
we've talked about you.
Yeah. So on the TV, Fisk is like, hey, you know what? Fuck this now. Everybody in a mask is dead meat. Like, we're taking all vigilantes down.
And then he holds up Muse's mask and holds it for a real long time, smiling like a kid in like a 4th grade school photo.
I like that a lot. I liked having
Yeah.
the mask. It's like really
Yeah.
it's like really awful. Like it's like savage, it's
Yeah.
awful. Then we cut to Vanessa calling Luca and telling him where Kingpin is going to be. And so we see Luca sneak into the restaurant that Kingpin's at, and Kingpin's got his see
You
this
think
thing.
sneaking?
He walks
He
in.
walks through the front door.
He's quietly walking through the front door. So I think the thing is also Kingpin has his back to the door, and I guarantee
Yeah.
that's not the kind of thing he would do. He knows that this is happening.
Well, here's the thing. We've discussed quite a bit about Heather being a bad therapist.
Yeah.
I now want to discuss about how this guy is a very bad assassin.
He's terrible at it. Yeah.
The mayor of New York is sitting in a restaurant alone, his back to the door with no security. Come on, dude. Really? You're gonna fall for that plan?
Yeah, he's not smart. But that's why he's fucking tracksuit mafia. He's not like the good mafia. He's like the dumb guy mafia. And even the good mafia is dumb guy mafia.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's a really good scene though, because he comes in, he pulls out his gun and you're like, what's going to happen? And all of a sudden fucking Buck shoots him from the shadows and fucking just takes him right in the head. And Fisk is like, thank you, Buck.
Oh, you thought you were Michael Corleone? You are not.
And he says, call Vanessa, ask her if she wants some of the steak or whatever. So I really do believe that she set Luca up. I honestly do believe that. That is my take.
I mean, I had not considered that. I think you're probably right. But part of me read it as he is aware that she's trying to have him killed. And he's like,
no, I just don't think that he doesn't feel that way about her. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. He doesn't feel that way about her.
Yeah.
And if he did think that she was trying to get him killed, I think that would like fucking break him. That would end him. He would not be calmly sitting
right.
eating him.
You're 100% right. You're 100% right.
So yeah, I think that she is still 100% with him and working on his side. And I think that it might be because she sees that he's sliding back into crime.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that maybe she sees that like there's like the because she wants crime back. That's what she wants.
She likes the crime.
She likes the crime. She likes the money.
Yeah.
Being a mayor, there's money, but it's not the same as being the kingpin of crime. And so yeah, that's what I think is happening. And then that is the end of the episode. What'd you think of this one?
Overall, I liked it. There's one bit that I like that we didn't discuss, which is when the detective lady goes to tell Fisk about Muse.
Yeah.
And she's got the dossier on him and she gives it to him and he's reading it and she's explaining stuff. And he, at the end of that scene, he gives it back to her and he says, I'll take it from here. And she's clearly confused by that.
Right.
And shocked, but she doesn't argue.
Right.
I like that she does not argue because I think a lot of times in shows, the move is to have the detective be like, this is my case. You can't take it from me. Right. But she's like, well, this is the mayor.
Yeah, this is I don't want to lose my gig, like that's the thing. Like I don't want to lose my gig. This guy,
and she knows it's wrong, like something's off with that. Like the mayor, what do you mean you're going to take it from here? You're the mayor. You're not supposed to go, track down crime. Like that's not your job. She knows something's off, but she doesn't want to. She also knows she does not have the standing to disagree or argue it, and I like that.
It does seem to me that they're building Detective Kim to maybe be somebody who helps take down Kingpin.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think she's going to be showing up more. For sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. Although she's from the original version, so I don't know. Maybe she's just gonna disappear from the show now. I mean, who knows?
Maybe.
We'll find out in the coming episodes because again, the next 2 episodes are all new material.
Okay.
They never shot these episodes, so it's all new. And
they better get on it. They got.
Well, no, they shot them this time. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So I'm kind of curious to see because I thought that the first episode, which was all new material, was real bad. And I'm kind of curious to see how 7 and 8 or 8 and 9 fare. Because that first episode was not good.
No.
It was to be fair to them, they had to like reconstruct a prequel to the season, and they had to squeeze things in and stuff like that. So to be fair, so maybe that was why that was bad. But it also was really ugly. It looked like shit. I think the show has looked a lot better since episode 1.
I agree.
And I don't want it to turn back into that fucking terrible look from the first episode. The lighting was just crap in the first episode.
Yeah. I agree. But overall, the episode, I liked it. It felt a little rushed at points.
Yeah.
Like I thought Muse was going to last longer. I thought he would be to the end of the season.
I like that he's not. I like that he's just
out. I like that. Okay, we're boom out, moving on. I like that. I'm not complaining that they moved through him this quickly, but I was surprised by that. And I also feel like one thing I can't tell how much time is passing in the show.
It's impossible to know.
Right?
It's impossible to know.
Because she in the bedroom scene, Heather says to him like, "Oh, you've been growing distant lately," and I was like, "You guys have been dating for like 2 weeks."
No, it must have been months.
Much longer, apparently. Yeah. So,
yeah, it's not clear how much time is passing in the course of this program. We had one episode that gave us a date, like a hard date, and that was St. Patrick's Day. And I have seen no.
Well, I guess actually that tells us because in episode 1 or 2 is New Year's, right? We see a New Year's.
But that's New Year's. That's a year earlier.
No, that's after. After Kingpin becomes.
That's mayor. Right. He becomes mayor.
So that tells us, okay, it's been at least 3 months, right? Because March would be St. Patrick's, right? So
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's maybe been a little bit longer. I mean, yeah, it's just it's hard to say, but
it's not that much longer because she brings up the bank thing in this episode, and it seems like it was like less than a week ago. So it seems pretty on top of each other with that. But
that makes sense. That makes sense.
We definitely have. There was, I guess, the mayoral race would be November. So the
election is November.
Yeah.
In New York, you get inaugurated in January, and which is what happened there. And
although he's already inaugurated for New Year's.
No, he's inaugurated on New Year's, I believe is the deal. That's like his inauguration, okay. Isn't it? I think that's the deal. I think that's the deal. Anyway, who cares? Yeah, I like this one a lot. I like that Muse is a quick villain. He doesn't seem like a character, especially if they're not going to give him superpowers, a character who can withstand a bunch of episodes. Like, I don't know what he's just killing people. You know what I mean? Like when Batman's up against a guy who's just killing people, that usually is a shorter story. Like it's not often.
Mr. Zsasz is not a 6-issue storyline.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So I like that. And I like also, just that this new version is much more episodic. And so the character is not just a fucking 12 episodes about Muse. It's like he's in a couple episodes and then he's done. Then we move on to the next thing. There were more logic problems in this episode than I think in most of the previous episodes, but mostly I was able to get past them. It was stuff that I think I can't tell how much of it was because of the Frankensteining, how much of it was just because of maybe lazy writing. I don't really know what the deal was, but like all this cherry shit is nonsensical.
The cherry stuff is very confusing to me.
It's just nonsensical. It just doesn't make it makes no sense. There's no motivation behind any piece of it. And it's just like, they want to get this guy out of the story. And that's it. Like that's the whole deal. So, I will see what happens.
Again, I'm not sure that he's out of the story.
No, I mean, like right now they want to take him away from Matt right now. Yeah. That's what they want to do. Like, that's like but they didn't do a good job of taking him away from Matt.
No, it's weird to have him come to Matt and be like, "Hey, man, I want to tell you about this thing going on with this serial killer. Don't do anything." And then, like, come back and be like, "I can't believe you did something."
It feels like one of those things. You're like, "This is a guy who lives in my building. I really hate him. I would really hate if you killed that guy. That would be terrible." And then you kill the guy, and he goes, "What the fuck did you just do?" And like, you told me, like, you definitely told me you gave me the hints. Like, you didn't want to say it, but you gave me the hints, man.
Yeah. And especially like something that was going to be in the papers in like the next couple of hours. It was going to be all over the place. There's a serial killer. He's murdered 60 people. That's going to make headlines. Matt's going to hear about it. And even, Cherry says to him, like, "You're going to hear about this soon enough, but I want to talk to you first." Why? Like, I don't understand what he's thinking. And then he's like shocked. Like, "I can't believe you went and did that." Like,
I feel like it's the kind of thing like where they should have had Matt reading the paper and Cherry comes in and is like, "Oh yeah, I see that you found out about this. I need you not to deal with this." Like that would have made more sense. Like, but because the fact that Cherry brings it to him just feels.
Or you have them like Matt reading out of the paper and Matt to Cherry be like, "If I was out there, I would have, maybe I could have stopped this sooner." Right. And Cherry being like, no, you wouldn't have had any idea. Don't throw everything away you've been doing for last year over this. Something like that.
Right. Yeah. But I liked it. And now like I said before, I'm very curious. The Daredevil show that I have enjoyed is coming to an end. And then the new version of the Daredevil show will be picking up next week. And I'm kind of curious to see where it goes, how it works.
But if it's like real goofy comedy all of a sudden.
If like Matt walks past a hot lady and goes, "Auga, auga."
Boy, I wish I could see that. Like, That'd be weird if it just gets like it turns into like Marvel quippiness all of a sudden.
But like hard Marvel quippiness,
Yeah.
like hard, like Ant-Man level, like very silly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll be back again for the next episode, episode 8, the penultimate episode of Daredevil Born Again, season 1. Until we see you guys again, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, may you be well, but most of all, may you remain a true believer.